Given my recent success in the MCU Spider-Man analysis and me watching the new MCU Spider-Man movie, I think it's only apt that I make a sequel video explaining what I did and didn't like about the new Spider-Man movie. I liked the movie. I thought it was good, but my problems with the movie are the same problems I laid out in that video. Spoilers ahead for those that haven't seen the movie already. This movie is the clearest example of Marvel's new philosophy about trying to reset MCU Spider-Man while pretending that they aren't resetting him at the same time. It's a strange hybrid. Functionally, they're the same character. They have the same emotional arc. Mechanically, they have the same tech, but wrapped up in surface level changes meant to appease fans who only engage with Spider-Man at the aesthetic level. The film wants you to believe Peter is back to basics, but everything underneath that contradicts it. He builds his own AI, he designs a suit with basically the same technology capabilities he had before, and the only real difference is that the new suit looks intentionally rougher. Not because the story demands it or anything, but because the studio wants to signal, see, he's grounded now, without actually grounding him. Because the things they changed about him were functional for the story they were trying to tell in their own cinematic universe, and the things that they're implementing now are just meant to appease fans, but you can't tell the story that you want to tell with this guy and appease fans. It's just not possible. This is the same critique I had with the MCU Spider-Man video that I released a couple days ago. People demanded a Raimi-style Spider-Man, so Marvel bent the character's arc into a shape that satisfies nostalgia rather than the story they were building. This movie continues that trend. There are no meaningful consequences from No Way Home. The emotional fallout, the isolation, the sacrifice, none of it really is meaningfully informing the plot, and if it does, it's in a way that gives these fans the changes they wanted in a contrived manner, because none of the consequences from No Way Home are permanent in this film, so it's basically like they never really happened, and I don't like that. Instead, the film gives audiences the version of Spider-Man they thought that they wanted rather than the one Marvel originally intended to lead the MCU going forward. It's a soft reboot disguised as a sequel. I don't think that this Spider-Man needed that. Thor got rebooted in this verse from what they wanted to tell with him, but the ways that they changed him were subtle and over a much longer period of time until Ragnarok happened, which culminated in that subtlety just being full-blown destroyed, and that was his character. And then that character gave way to the best version of Thor found in Infinity War. And then Love and Thunder completely butchered him, and I can't even get into that. To this film's credit, the opening montage that explores him being Spider-Man is good. The callbacks to earlier movies, especially the moment where he jumps off of the building and the camera focuses on his reaction rather than the fall, are genuinely effective in showing how far he's come. But then the movie undercuts itself with choices that feel lazy or bizarre. Spider-Man at the party looks hilariously creepy in this movie. The organic webs, they kind of just happen. There's no real explanation or thematic weight. Nothing in a way that like actually means anything. The idea that he gets his new powers because he saw his ex get kissed is like absurd to me. I could get behind him being isolated for 4 years, but the catalyst around this are kind of silly to me. But however, it's been 4 years. I'm expected to believe that he hasn't met a version of Gwen Stacy or comic accurate MJ. I don't believe that. The fact that this character languished because fans couldn't agree on a version that they don't even want is funny to me though. And then the fake out kiss, the Spider-Man kiss, you know, the iconic Spider-Man kiss. It's kind of wild in a good way in this movie. It completely subverts your expectations. You think for a second that it's cheesy and that MJ cheats on her boyfriend, kisses him, remembers, you know, Peter, and we're supposed to accept that strangest spell as that flimsy. Thankfully, it's a fake out and kind of characterizes the main villain in a very bad way. Like, we do not see her change from a maniac who's willing to like mind rape people to fuck with a guy and manipulate him to what we see at the end of the movie where she's just like a good guy. Hey, I'm trying to get 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Currently, a fifth of the way there. So if you like the video so far, then please subscribe. My packaging isn't good, but YouTube keeps pushing my content to thousands of impressions, just on not generating a lot of clicks. As one of the lucky few to click on a poorly packaged video, if you subscribe, then leave a comment on my videos telling me how to improve the thumbnails, then that would be greatly appreciated. Now back to the video. However, the movie toys with something in the fake out that is set up for something something stupid that happens later. For now, Peter's mask being like constantly off is another issue for me in this movie. When he meets MJ again, he's low-key trying to put game on her without the mask on, and it's like very uncomfortable because she doesn't remember him or know who he is, and him like saying that her boyfriend is a bad boyfriend despite knowing nothing about him comes across as predatory and creepy rather than charming like the film wants it to. Or the concept of Spider-Man fans loving when Spider-Man is miserable is funny, and I always thought it was stupid. However, when MJ says that she like just flat out doesn't love him, doesn't know who he is, and doesn't care to want to, I literally exclaimed yes so loud because I thought that she was being written out of the movie finally, and that's just not the case. And it's nothing personal. It's just like she's not the kind of MJ that I want to see in these films. Not because like she's different. I understand her changes. She's culturally positioned as like our generation's MJ, but we still haven't had a good live action MJ outside of Spider-Verse. I feel like this MJ doesn't have the things that make the MJ character good or unique, and the changes that they made come off as like really forceful to make her seem like this generation's MJ rather than natural, except in this movie. I think in this movie this is like the best rendition of her character, but I don't think she should have been in this movie given how No Way Home ends. It doesn't really make sense to me. Raimi's MJ wasn't good. PS4 MJ is just like Raimi's, if not worse, and this movie doesn't fix that problem for me, except I really just like wanted a new love interest. I really thought that that's where, you know, Jean Grey was coming in, and I'll get into that later. But I just don't like that this movie resets the character on a surface level and then gives us everything we had in the original trilogy, or the original 2 films that actually had his arc. I don't count the No Way Home as like a trilogy because it's so radically different and literally just exists to create the version of this character that Marvel thinks that the fans want. It's not even like a real movie, to be honest with you. Government in this movie are genuinely so dumb. I just think it's lazy. Peter needing to take off his inhibitor chip and mask at the end in the final fight is a little contrived to me. It looks cool, but it's kind of unnecessary. Taking off the chip makes sense to me, but it's never established that she needs to like look at somebody's face to like take over their body. So I don't know why he does that, especially since the whole movie he's like, yeah, I need to keep my identity a secret. The concept of MCU Spider-Man being nerfed is interesting and meta, but the nerf being meta as in like he's weaker because he's not the version of Raimi's Spider-Man that fans wanted is frustrating. It's commentary disguised as character development, and while the final fight scenes of this movie are good, it comes at a cost of key jangling rather than this character being his own character. Alright, now I'm really going to talk about Frank Castle. I think I'm going to talk about Frank Castle longer than I'm going to talk about Spider-Man, because he is a prominent character in this movie. It's really interesting, and I do not like his implementation in the movie. Frank is just another problem for me. My criticisms for this movie are mostly meta. It's genuinely good if you don't think like Homecoming or Far From Home are good, and if you don't think about those movies as in like this is the same character. It just completely falls apart under that context. But Frank is legit a problem in this movie. His sniper position from like 50 billion light years away is just ridiculous. I do not think Frank could hit that shot. I don't think any real sniper could hit that shot. Like Bullseye could, not Frank Castle. His characterization in Born Again in this movie is completely inconsistent with his own show and how he was in the original Daredevil series. I just do not believe that Frank Castle would kill a teenage girl when he just learned that Damage Control murdered her sister, and that's likely why she's doing the things that she's doing. I just don't think that that's true. The writing reduces him to a caricature of the guy who crosses moral lines, repeating the rooftop scene philosophy over and over in literally every piece of dialogue he's gotten since that scene without evolving it at all. And I just think that that's lazy. Like, Frank is a deep character. I don't think that the writers writing him understand who he is, and yet people politicize him in a way that doesn't really make sense. And because of that, I think that's why Marvel isn't really interested in saying anything interesting with him. When they tried to do that with the Born Again series, it just completely comes across as you don't understand the character, and they don't understand any of the characters in that show. But Frank got really mistreated in that show. It doesn't make sense why he's out and about in broad daylight in this movie. He is a wanted criminal who kills people. He's not like a vigilante that's sanctioned, and the banter that's found within the movie is good. I like the chemistry between the actors, but it just kind of feels like they put Frank here just because. Like, John Berthal made a really good Punisher in Daredevil. When he's given good material, he's a great Punisher. But I just don't like his shtick whenever they don't know what to do with him. In the final battle, Aunt May being like the emotional core is something that I liked, and I like that she's a through line in every movie that like in the MCU that has Spider-Man in it, like, you know, the character is supposed to be. She was always the emotional core of Spider-Man, not Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben's philosophy bestowed on Peter, responsibility line or not, wouldn't carry any weight if it wasn't reinforced by Aunt May. But the Mindscape pep talk only happening for one time is kind of contrived to me. The main villain has hopped into a bunch of different people's minds. Am I meant to believe that none of them had a pep talk that resonated with her? Or is this one special because she views herself as Peter and that normal people wouldn't understand her? Which I could get behind. I think that that's implied, but the idea isn't really explored in the movie. And even if it is implied, it's not explored enough for me to say that that's a definitive trait. Had she had like a line along the lines of, I've seen so many people with loving families, but they don't understand me, I would like think that that's fine. I think that that's enough to be like, okay, that's a character trait that she has. And that would be interesting and would allow a level of resentment from mutants for humans to be explored in the future installments, but that's just kind of not the case. On an unrelated note, I low-key kind of ship Spider-Man and Jean Grey in the MCU. And honestly, the movie gives them enough chemistry to kind of justify that, and I thought that they were going. Like, by the end of the film, he's like, you don't have to be alone, you have me. And I feel like that line just makes no sense. Like, what do you mean you have me, Spider-Man? Are you gonna like take her under your wing? Are you gonna mentor her? Are you gonna like let her live with you? Are you guys gonna develop a relationship? Are we actually gonna get like an interesting redhead for Spider-Man? No, he just said that shit just to be nice. Frank trying to kill her at the end of the movie makes no sense, narratively or morally. I do like the anyone who can wear the mask, like, subtle jab, like, joke with Frank putting on the mask at the end. I think that that's fun. I think that's funny. And I think that he, like, says he has a plan all seriously, and it's super simple. Like, I think the jokes in this movie are pretty good. I think I laughed. I definitely laughed when the movie didn't want me to laugh. I definitely laughed at things that were not intentionally supposed to be funny, but I laughed a lot more. And I think Spider-Man in this movie is really good. I think he's been good in every movie, though, so take that with a grain of salt. But my underlying issue with this movie is that it piggybacks off of No Way Home in a bad way that is just present throughout the entirety of the movie. It's like a movie that is made to appease fans who only want Raimi's movies remade. So it gives him his organic webs, it gives him his companions back again, and it sends him on an emotional arc that he had already completed in Homecoming and Far From Home, and it ultimately ends the movie right where Homecoming left off, except that, you know, it's taken some cues from Spider-Man PS4 and that he's not in school or anything. And what's crazy is that they even remove the spider sense in this movie again very briefly. It's just annoying. Can this character have anything unique? Can he be his own thing? How many times do I have to see this character go on the same arc before we finally just say fuck the people who want this character to stay stagnant? Like, hello? The ultimate result in all of this is that Spider-Man just cannot be unique. Almost everything in this movie is borrowed from other Spider-Man media, stitched together to satisfy nostalgia rather than build something new. And the movie isn't bad because those things are good, but the things that are holding this movie back in terms of like cohesiveness is the fact that we had 3 other movies with this same character and he's already learned every single lesson that is present in this film. It is just creatively compromised. It's a Spider-Man story afraid to be original, afraid to commit to the arc that Marvel set up, and desperate to appease fans who only engage with Spider-Man through the lens of Raimi's films. And that's like my real frustration. Spider-Man fans deserve a version of the character who isn't defined by what came before. This movie doesn't give us that. It gives us a collage of things people liked from other Spider-Man media and calls it a new beginning. And I just don't like that. If you're interested in hearing what I have to say about other media as it gets released, or other things that I just find interesting, like the Skyrim review that I'm working on, or the Dying Light and Dead Island 2 comparison video that comes out this week, stick around, subscribe. If not, then, you know, I hope you liked the video well enough to just stick around to the end.